And
but it really gets there around midnight. Memories always start some midnight, round midnight. I haven't got the heart to stand those memories. When my heart is still with you, yeah. An old midnight knows it too. When some quarrel we've had needs mending, does it mean that our love is ending? Darling, I need you. Lately, I find you're out of my some midnight, around midnight. Let the angels sing for your let our love be safe and sound when old midnight comes around.
Wow. Holy moly. David Linx, ladies and
How are
gentlemen.
you?
Wow, that was quite the beginning. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Very arresting, as they say. I'm arresting you, man.
Arrest me. Think of me.
I'm arresting you. That was really, really beautiful. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to get into our conversation. And I'm just doing a few adjusting things here, but it shouldn't take long. Okay. I don't know why they make me do the same thing over and over again. It's just, why can't I just go right to it?
That's
But it's
deliberate.
technology. Yeah, it's deliberate. Yeah. I should just say that. I should remember that. It's deliberate. Oh my God. So anyway, today is Wednesday, December 22nd. I'm very, very happy to have this really talented artist here. And I think I had heard of you, but probably Faye Klassen, introduced me more to you.
Okay. Faye's like my sister.
She's so earthy.
Yes, she is. Down to yeah. That's what you mean.
And her voice reflects that too. She
Yes,
just
it's
has
true.
this real yummy, just very connected voice.
Yes, very.
But you were telling me a little bit about your past, and I don't always start with people's pasts, but your past is very intriguing. So I think I would like to start there, if you don't mind, and just ask you, about Well, first of all, yeah, you have to retell how the voice and you are related, because that's really beautiful. Because I said, you said you didn't pick the voice picked you.
I think it's something like that. I think we met somewhere in between. I always wanted to. My father was a composer. He also organized he founded a big jazz festival in Belgium, in Antwerp, called Jazz Middelheim. So, so he had always artist friends over when I was very small. And he told me that when I was like 3, he used to make his friends laugh because I would be playing with cars and stuff, and then he put on Miles Davis Sketches of Spain. And then, and when he put Miles on, I would just freeze. I would just freeze in the middle of the room. I was like 3 years old. I would just not move until they took him off. And then I would relax and play with the cards. So that is the effect that Miles Davis had on me. And for me, Miles Davis was always like a voice, because he lost his voice in the 50s, because he had this kind of thing on his vocal cords. He had an operation. Then the legend goes that he yelled at a musician and during a rehearsal when during a period where he was not supposed to speak, when he was healing. So that's how he lost his voice. So for me, the trumpet was like an extension of his vocal cords always. So when even today, when a journalist asks me sometimes, who's your favorite singer, I always say Miles Davis first. So when I was a child, I think Miles Davis was like my favorite singer. And then Ray Charles, my father had the bootleg tape of jazz in Jean Lepin in the south of France, where Ray Charles was at the organ. There was a drummer and a flute player, and he sang "George on My Mind" very slow, So that bootleg tape was stuck in my memory, because when when the friends used to be gone, like sculptors, painters, choreographers, writers, I heard him. I was in my bed when I was a child, and I heard him being drunk sing with that. Always scream to that bootleg recording of "George on My Mind." So that's like literally instilled in me. So the two voices for me were like Ray Charles and Miles Davis, and I met Miles Davis later on when I lived with James Baldwin, so that was for me like a dream come true, meeting as well as Ray Charles, So that's
that's pretty significant. That's pretty significant. Yeah, that when it soaks into you that young too, Yeah, I also just putting it out there, Miles Davis for me. When I was in college, that was what I woke up to every morning. I would wake up and I would put on Miles, and it was just I played Miles a lot when I was in college, especially, which was kind of a little bit more of when I was, getting into my own voice, rather than my dad's music and, all that.
Well, I think about people tend to forget that Miles was the first trumpet player. Before Miles, there were great. There was Dizzy Gillespie, Fats Navarro. I mean, everybody, But he was the first one who made the trumpet central. So you could imagine couples having romantic dinners with Chablis and candlelight and listening to Miles Davis. Before Miles Davis, the trumpet was a trumpet, It was
that's so true.
Like to little,
yeah,
like the whole dexterity thing, which was great. But Miles was the first one to miss notes and break notes and make it
long notes,
and soft notes, muted notes.
Yeah. It's funny. I once saw a like an old newspaper article on how the trumpet was totally the devil's instrument.
Yes.
I think they wrote it before Miles showed up, but anyway, that's really funny. Yeah. So I see you as a child kind of being affected by all that. And did you go right into singing, or were you?
Well, it was a very intense childhood. My father was amazing because he was an amazing composer. When I was, you have to imagine he kind of put Ram Blake and Gin Lee together in Belgium. You know.
Really?
Yes. You know the record, the newest sound around.
Yeah.
Yeah. That amazing. But there was one record before that Ram Blake released just a couple of years ago now.
Oh,
And my father had produced that record.
really?
And it was never released until a couple of years ago. So
Oh my
so
God.
they were at the house. All these people were at the house. So I was really soaked, literally soaked in those musical blends, you know. So but I remember, I think where I sang the most and maybe worked indirectly the most was for my 7 years on, 8 years on, where my voice was high, and I was a child, and I sang along with live Ella Fitzgerald recordings, and I really that's really how I learned singing. Because we didn't have schools then. I mean, there may have been Berklee College of Music, but basically, virtually in Europe, we didn't have schools really. So we really had to copy and be driven. I was very, very, very driven. So when I sang along with Ella Fitzgerald records, I looked through her eyes, I listened through her ears, and I was breathing through her nose. You know, I was like singing until I thought I was her, much to the chagrin of the rest of the family when I was in my room going at it for 4, 5, 6 hours in a row. You know? But I really learned the Ella. But I always had the tendency. I come from a very intense childhood, meaning that there was also a lot of violence in the house, and I'm not gonna develop it. But it had an effect that I always had the tendency of keeping the voice to myself. I mean, I took lessons as a drummer, flute player, piano, solfège, and harmony when I was very young, because my father taught we were in Brussels, and he went to the outskirts. He went back in Flanders, and he taught during the weekends. He taught at the academy. So instead of putting me with the babysitter or with his parents, my grandparents, he put me in a solfège class or whatever, you know. So I remember that I was in a solfège class. I don't remember, but I remember that I was doubling every year because I could read notes, but I couldn't read words. So the first solfège class I was in I was like 4 years old. So I had to double that 2 or 3 times because I couldn't read the words, but I knew the notes. I remember my father's sister, who was living in that little village. She accompanied me to the solfège class, and she studied in her later age solfège with me because she had to accompany me and see that I was not running away or something, you know. And but I always had a tendency. I kind of always protected my voice because I was like, I didn't want the violence of the world to. You know, voice is in your throat. It's part of the body. It's part of the psyche. So I didn't want that to be aggressed by the outside world. You know, when people say, "What do you like doing?" Oh, you sing. Oh, what is that? You know, you sing. Singing was put you always in a very naked spot. You know.
Yeah.
So I worked it a lot. I really worked that very much. You know. But I think the real turning point came when, in 1977, at the festival that my father founded, and I think it's maybe for me one of the most important years, because you have Ella Fitzgerald with the Tommy Flanagan Trio live in Montreux in 1977. You're live in Europe, Al Jarreau, and you have Betty Carter live at Great American Music Hall, San Francisco, the audience with Betty Carter. And I saw that concert in Antwerp. So I was 12, and I had studied during all these years with Ella Fitzgerald records, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I was quite a singer already. I was kind of happy where I was, you know. So when there's a tendency when you're kind of happy, fate is going to blow you in your face.
That's true.
Don't be that happy. So so that year I saw that concert that was also the concert that is on the record, Live at the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco. I saw that in Antwerp, and it blew me away because we come from a generation, you and me, I suppose, I don't know in America, but here, like when you stutter, parents don't go and take you to a doctor or a therapist to help you not stutter. Or, you know, we come from a generation when you stutter and you ask your parents, what do I do? They will say, well, don't stutter, you know. So okay, I will try not to stutter. So I stuttered. I was cross-eyed. I stuttered, and so I saw Betty Carter, and she had this kind of the first tune of a show was sounds of a life I heard everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And then she goes into the little, and I was like, what is, you know, I was like, my
It was
tongue
kind of like stuttering or something, right?
no, I was stuttering, and I saw her do little. So I came out of there that if I cannot do this, then I'm going to stop singing. I was only 12, but I thought I was like over already. You know, I was very driven, like I told you. So I did like, I imagine I invented some exercises for me to, you know, I took the word little and did like chromatic until I could do it at a kind of agreeable speed, you know. So it was always like a victory on myself, you know. Because I told the journalists here in Paris and Brussels the other day is that in Europe we had musicians, jazz musicians and female jazz singers since 1930s, but I never had a European example. So I had to construct that. I didn't have like a European male jazz singer to look up to. I knew Mark Murphy because when I was 15, I accompanied Mark Murphy on the drums when he came to Europe. I was a drummer. So Dieter Grissel's the piano player that I used to work with. Yeah. Before I was in his trio as a drummer. So when American musicians came to Europe, my first gig as a drummer when I was 13, 14 was with Harry Sweets Edison. Then there was Shahib Shihab, Ernie Wilkins, Richard Boone, and also Mark Murphy. So when Mark Murphy came to Europe in the Benelux, like Belgium, Holland, Luxembourg, I organized a concert. I was 16, 17. I organized a concert. So you know, I organized it.
Oh man, good for you.
So that's while I was playing with Mark Murphy, these were my greatest singing lessons, you know, because I was but I never really had a European male jazz singer model. So I really had to construct that, you know, because I knew culturally I was half American. I lived with Kenny Clarke in Paris, and I lived with James Baldwin. I played with Mark Murphy. So I had these, all of Nathan Davis was my godfather. So these were my models, but I was also European. So it is basically the American songbook that opened the doors to my being European. You know?
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, that's very interesting. I can't help but notice similarities, but not. I mean, I think your life was much more intense growing up. But Ella Fitzgerald was my first influence. I was like 4 or 5 singing around the house to Ella, and my dad was a sax player, and I remember painting the living room with him and singing to Ella. And also I stuttered.
You stuttered too?
Yes. You know, but you know why I stuttered? It was really weird. I know why I stuttered, because I didn't stutter. I don't think I stuttered outside of the house, but I had an artist point of view. And when I would try and talk at the table or wherever, I would, you know how people, especially artists, they kind of look at something and then they talk, right? So, and my ideas came out, you know, maybe unusually, you know, and so they would always make fun of me, you know, how I was speaking. So I started stuttering.
Well, exactly. That is what I mean. Why I always protected my voice, because people can make fun of you, and the voice is so inside the body, like an instrument. You can put it away, and you can
so personal.
Go about your business.
Yeah.
So I understand you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ella also, when I was 14, she sang at the Grand Place in Brussels, which is I think it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. If you haven't seen it, go and look it up. Really, I've traveled a lot. The Grand
Yeah.
Place is and I've done that place like concert wise. I've given 15 or 16 concerts already, but she was singing there in 79, and we were living outside of Brussels, and I said I'm going to meet her, and everybody left, so I took a train, and I came to the Grand Place, and I defied security, and I just ran, and I was in a dressing room, and I spent at least a couple of hours with her. She was in
Oh my
dressing
gosh.
and I helped her dress. I held up the cloth behind which she was changing her dress,
Oh my God.
and so I actually touched her. You know, I was with her, and Jazz magazine in France asked me to write an article about that when a couple of years ago it was the 100th anniversary of her. So I remember when I came out of there, I think she was there with his sister or something because she's a beautiful, sweet lady, and they had fruit and almonds and all that.
Oh.
And when I left that place, I went back and I had a peach. And there was a lot of perfume. I remember she had a lot of perfume. So I had a peach in my hand and an autograph in the other hand on a little paper. I still have it here somewhere.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, and the peach, when I came home, it was very symbolic because you cannot keep a peach because it's going to rot. So I had the perfume. So I came home, and the proof of the peach of me meeting her was not only the autograph, but her perfume that was all over the peach. And then I had to eat the peach.
But you were ingesting her.
Yes, I was eating her, you know. Symbolically, I swallowed the peach.
Oh.
I waited until the next day and then I ate the peach, you know.
Oh.
I actually ate the peach.
You're gonna like this, David. So see this bowl?
Yes.
Carmen Bradford, the singer, really good singer.
Yeah, yes.
She sent me this bowl and a tea set. Ella gave this to her.
Oh my, wow.
And she thought I should have it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So there you go. I have some of your Ella here.
Wow. Yeah, I think she's like the middle road, you know. So it's like you can always go back to her. You can go to free, you can go to common mainstream, and then in the middle, she's always there.
She was I think she was probably the most subtle, great, I mean, high level subtle out of all of those singers in that period. You know, everybody had their greatness, you know, I mean, Carmen and Sarah and Billy and on, you know, everybody had their just greatness. But Ella, when you go back and listen, and then you start noticing the subtlety, the high level, beautiful subtlety.
And like you say, the down to earthness, the earthiness, because it's amazing to be a star and to have that little drama in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, or the people are not interested in the drama, in the drama. I mean, I don't say that there was no drama, but it's like that you can actually be famous and known for your craft and not need the drama.
Yeah.
Like today, a lot of artists, I mean, it's more the drama than their music, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe except from people like Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder is amazing because he's still the greatest. And there's no scandals, there's no drama, but he must be the only one who's basically been protected from that, you know.
Yeah, well, maybe Sting, those guys.
Yes, Sting too. Yes,
you know, and maybe people like Peter Gabriel, or you know, like the older.
But Peter Gabriel, I don't really know where he is now. But Steve is still much.
Oh, still working. Yes,
present.
yes, right.
He's still very present, you know.
Yeah. So you moved around as you grew older, and did you come to the States to live with James Baldwin, or?
Well, I met James Baldwin in Amsterdam when I was 16, 17. I was playing in a club. It's a very, I mean, I was in the bedroom of my parents. My mother was not there, was not living with us anymore, but there was this bookcase, and as I came across this book that was like glossy, and it was like apple green, and then there was the black profile of a man. So I took that book, and it was Go Tell It on the Mountain in Flemish, in Dutch. So I just took the book as I took the, I was 11 or 12, and I read it in one trait immediately. So I was hooked. So I would go to the to the bookstore. I say, "Do you have another James Baldwin?" Okay, until I read everything, and now I was there.
Oh,
No, there's no more James Baldwin. So that's how I discovered other writers. So I made my works in school on him. My essays, when we had to write essays, and I wrote him some letters that we found back after he passed away in his house in Saint-Paul-de-Vence in France.
oh,
And so when I was 16, 17, I was playing in a club in Amsterdam. It's called the Alto, and I was playing with a German. She was a German piano player. She was in the jazz school with me, because I used to study in jazz school in Hilversum 1 year as a drummer. And then there was a Suriname bass player, and he said, "James Baldwin's giving a conference in us." And I said, "What?" So I was there.
Holy moly!
And it was packed, and of course he was late. When I lived with him and I traveled with him, we missed planes 2 out of 3, So of course he was late. So people had left, so I had a ticket. So that's how I met him. But I couldn't come close to him because there was too much people around him after the conference. So I knew I'd heard where the press conference was, at the publishing house. That was like a couple of miles away from the Melkweg in the center of Amsterdam. So I ran to that place. and by the time I was there, the press conference was over, and he was sitting in kind of this sofa, like a big L, those L sofas that we have today, also, with his brother David. So I just collapsed in between them. He looked amused at me, like, "Who are you?" So I went to the next lecture conference with him and his brother, and then we all had dinner. And so when I left, I asked him. He gave me his phone number in the south of France, Saint-Paul-de-Vence. So I didn't call for a year. So finally I called, and I don't even think he knew who I was anymore, of course, But I basically said, I'm coming. I came with 2 suitcases. I took a night train from Brussels to Nice, and from Nice I took the bus to Saint-Paul-de-Vence. I took the night train like 7, 8 o'clock in the evening in Brussels. So next day I arrived around 11 or 10 or 11. So time to figure out where the bus was. I took the bus to Saint-Paul-de-Vence. I arrived when it was 12:30. I missed houses, and I came sweating with 2 suitcases. By the time it was in France, we eat at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So by the time it was lunch, I arrived, and so basically I never left. I had a room there until I met his family in New York. Also, his sisters, like my mother. I met his mother also. I knew his mother also. So, and then one evening when I was 19. We were sitting outside of his study. It was a very big house, 25 rooms. It was a very old house from the 19th century. So I still hear the crickets. There was a record of Robert Johnson playing.
Yeah. And
in the distance, you could see the Mediterranean. At least you could see the city lights of Nice. And so I felt like I was in one of his books, like Just Above My Head or Another Country. You remember those books? People have drinks, do you want a drink? Yeah, I want a drink. So he asked me, do you want a drink? I said, damn, yes, I want a drink. So I was trying to drink like him. I never touched whiskey after that again. because I drank a little too much. And then I asked him, let's make a record. And he said, okay. So the next day he thought I'd forgotten. So I said, let's make a record. So we started choosing poems. So I went back to Brussels. I worked with a guitar player whose name was Pierre van Dormaal, whose brother is Jaco van Dormaal, who won an Oscar. He's a Belgian movie maker. That's his brother. And then we started putting the record together. You know, like I was still playing drums. There was Toots Stielemans, Slide Hampton,
Wow.
Steve Coleman, Jimmy Owens, Bayard Lancaster, Yusuf Yancey, more musicians, and we auto-produced it, and then James Baldwin, he came to, because we recorded in New York, in Brooklyn, in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and then we did his voice in Brussels. He was at some award show, some kind of like Grammy, Oscar thing, but like in London, you know. So then he was supposed to give an award to an actor, and then he came to Brussels and he did the voices. He spoke over it, and so that was quite a journey. That was life changing.
I would imagine so. Is that record still out?
Oh yeah, it's still available. It was released in '91. I didn't want to.
What is it called?
A Lover's Question.
Is it under your name or?
I can show it. Hang on 2 minutes. This is the. I just got some new copies. This is the record. You know, that's James Baldwin, David Linx, Pierre van Dormaal, and this is these are the musicians. You got Toots Stielemans, Bob Stewart, Slide Hampton, all that, and when it got re-released, this is the re-release of 1999. So I had like a book made also, because I included some of the, I made a book, a book. I can show you this. This is me and him when I was 19. I had hair. and then I had all the poems translated in French. I made some chapters with some unpublished work, and then he wrote, for my 21st birthday, he wrote a short story. I included that too. I wanted to.
He wrote a short story about you.
For me, that was for my birthday. So he said, that was like that.
Oh.
We dedicated that. So I put it into chapters and I re-released it. Yeah.
Oh, that is so special. Wow.
Yeah. And it was strange because there was at that time I made that record, and I also had like a pop record that was like in the top 20 in Belgium, Netherlands, in Germany, and that was with Roy Ayers. You know Roy Ayers?
Yeah.
The vibraphone player.
Yeah. Whom
I met when I lived with David Baldwin at 97th Street, because he was the manager of not the owner, but the manager of Mikkel's Jazz Club. I don't know if you heard of Mikkel's.
I don't know.
It's a club in 97. That is where Whitney Houston started. All these people started. Miles Davis used to hang out there. So that's how I met Roy Ayers, because Roy always came to the apartment. Oh. So when I was making that record, I was like bold, like driven still. So I asked Roy, "Can you come and play my record?" I said, "Of course. I'll be there tomorrow."
Boldness, man, it counts.
Bold. I was bold.
Wow. Fascinating. It's great. Yeah, I look forward to hearing that one. I'm going to get that one. And it kind of touches on what we were speaking about right before we came on, which was, I guess, we were talking about music standing still or expanding, especially with vocalists. But that's, because you had this pop hit, and then you had this very artistic project coming out.
Yeah, because at that time I also had a quartet where I was playing drums and singing. There was Steve Coleman, Bob Stewart, and Pierre van Dormaal. So that was kind of really, I grew up also in as much free jazz. There was Ram Blake and Jin Lee, as like there was also Paul Simon. There was, I mean,
Yeah.
my father was like, there's good music and there's bad music. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care about styles. It has to be good. That's it, you know.
Yeah.
And so I really come from. I mean, free jazz has been a very important part of my upbringing. I mean, the periphery, the going against the grain.
Yeah.
I mean, now when I look in hindsight, when I see that I live with Kenny Clarke and James Baldwin, it's basically in hindsight, I can really define it into gave me like a backbone to go against the grain, because still in Europe today, we still look up to America for jazz. We don't you know, the business is still like, for instrumentalists less, but for singers, I mean, in Europe I have the status which is nice. I mean, Kurt Elling or Gregory Porter or me here in France, it's like we have like the same status, which is very rare for a European singer, because I think jazz is maybe the only discipline where we still are forced to look up to America. Whereas for classical or hip hop or musical or literature or contemporary dancing or whatever, it's basically equal all over the world. And of course, jazz is born in America, but the expression has evolved immensely. But the business still feels like they need to thrive on nostalgia, and that is where it becomes a problem. You see, I mean, nobody is going to tell Jessie Norman that she cannot sing Wagner or Strauss Lieder, in which she's one of the best, because she's American and African American at that, you know. But it's like in Europe, I really had to, since there were no European singers and there was no reference. So not only, I didn't have like an example. So when I started singing, there was a very, the diversity was big. So it took me 10 years to create the reference of who I was over here, so that they could relate to something that didn't exist before. Because they could only look up to America. Instrumentally it was different, and especially today, but still vocally today, it's like as if we are supposed to function in the shadow of American singers, which I always refuse, because my culture is double. I have the American culture and European culture, so I cannot make music while being culturally intimidated, and I always refused that. And that's maybe, in hindsight, that's why I went to live with Kenny Clarke, who basically invented bebop drumming, and then I lived with James Baldwin, who basically invented himself, you know. And neither one of them went to university or college. I mean, they never really studied; they basically did it. So that gave me maybe the strength and the backbone to be able to do something that was not, you know, when something doesn't exist, the status quo in every topic in our lives would like to keep it like that. Yeah. So I had to really fight to become a jazz singer. I wanted to be that. So for me, it was evident, but then I learned that it was not evident for the world here surrounding me. You know, and it's also, I come also from a different time. I played with Mark Murphy, who was always like winning the downbeat readers polls and this and that. But we were playing basically clubs with 15 or 20 people in the audience. Yeah. People don't realize that today, because the internet and social media takes legends also out of control.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is very interesting. I mean, I'm just thinking what my view, you know, as you were speaking, I felt like my viewpoint had a bit of it in there that I feel a little differently about it, but of course I would, because I'm me and you're you. But what do I want to say? Well, first of all, I think in hmm, this is such a deep subject, it has so many different rooms.
It has layers.
Yeah. So okay, the obvious first layer is the straight ahead singers, right?
Yes.
And when I was young, the straight ahead singers were kind of everything, except for those singers who were, well, when I was very young, I'm talking about, like the kind of showy singers, like oh, gosh, my brain. Let me think about like I can see all their faces and I can't think of their names. Anyway, there was this kind of show. The music was really good, high quality, arranged. The singing was great. It wasn't really jazz, but it wasn't really pop. It was kind of
No,
somewhere in the
it was like
middle, and it was
like
very
a
commercial.
song styling. That's basically what it was,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
I mean,
so
we
there
can
was
talk
that,
about these
and
singers
I
as
thought
jazz
that,
singers. They were like song stylists,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like Lena Horne,
So,
Frank
and then of
Sinatra.
course,
Yeah.
well, actually, even more commercial than that. That's what
Oh,
I'm talking about. Like people like, I don't know. Dionne Warwick is not a great example because she was kind of in the pop, but a singer more like that who had a particular sound that was
Nancy
really
Wilson.
hot. Nancy Wilson, still more jazz than what I'm trying to think of.
Okay. Wow.
Gloria Loring. Did you ever hear of Gloria Loring?
No.
Okay, so she was very popular at the time. She wasn't that old. She wasn't she wasn't a pop singer and she wasn't really a jazz singer. So somewhere in the middle, and there was this whole genre when I was young that was happening. Then as I grew older, rock and roll started appearing to me and funk and all that stuff. And then as I grew into like my coming, into a college age, that's when I started Miles Davis. And, even though there was a lot, I was in Boston and there was lots
Okay.
of wonderful various genres. However, the jazz genre that I started getting into was like Weather Report,
Yes.
that kind of more expansive. And me as a singer who was brought up by a sax player, and singing, I was much more into listening to instrumental music.
Of course. Yes.
And then as the years progressed, I think my point of view is like, like Jay Clayton, there's a person who started a long, long, long time ago, Sheila Jordan, Jay Clayton, and, along
Sheila,
with Gene Lee.
we sang a lot together.
And they,
Sheila. Yeah, she's my sweetheart. I love
so they
Sheila.
started a long time ago, right? Yeah. And so, but more of the freestyle of music was not accepted in America. It
No,
was,
I think,
or it was,
but still to this day, we forget that the most interesting jazz musicians in America are signed by European labels.
wow, that is
Brad
so
Meldo
true.
is signed over here.
That is so true.
Even Gregory Porter is signed over here. Winter Marsalis used to be signed over here before they were signed over there. Bob McFerrin used to be signed over here. Because we forget that now today, business-wise, France is the first jazz country in the world. And the number of festivals, the money they have, and the publicity. We have like 4 or 5 jazz magazines for a small country. But it's a major, American jazz musicians, they come over here, still today. The business is over here, basically.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah. Well, I was just, I think I was relating back to what you said about the singing, kind of looking to America for the singing. And then we were beginning to talk about the remaining in straight ahead for over here, you know, and not expanding. And
Yeah, I think
um,
stylistic. I think America. I mean, when you read James Baldwin, I grew up with James Baldwin, so it rubs off. America is this country who, and I love America. Part of my family lives in America. I'm basically culturally half America. There's a lot I love about America.
yeah,
There's a lot I don't love about America. Like there's a lot I love about Europe, and there's a lot I don't love about Europe. So it's not about prefer,
yeah,
but
yeah,
America has, I mean, basically the culture in America is like, America is so convinced to be the greatest country in the world. It has to, you see it on CNN, when you see somebody normal finally speak, that they end their monologue or their response by saying, and we're the greatest country. Oh, why do you? So the problem is that when you have to say that all the time, you also isolate yourself and you forget what's happening in the world. So
yeah,
you see, so that is also in jazz. So it means that, for example, a journalist asked me one day, "Are you not sad that you that you're not more singing in America?" That yes, but in America I would never have been able to do the music that I do. I'm doing big halls over here. In
yeah,
America, I was singing in the basement in Brooklyn. I don't have anything against singing in the basement in Brooklyn, but stylistically, I can be very commercial. I mean, commercial business wise, not
yeah,
musically,
yeah,
in doing very against the grain stuff.
yeah, yeah.
There's in America, every time I hear about a revelation, I hear a young singer singing the real book again. And then I'm going like, really? I mean, it's not that you have to be, I never thought about being new, but I thought about like what I learned from James Baldwin is you got to learn the alphabet, you got to learn the vocabulary, and then hope you have a story to tell. And basically by the time you learn your alphabet and you learn the vocabulary, you discover you have a story to tell, because we all have a story to tell.
Yeah,
But it's like when we call this revelation all the time, a young singer who sings the real book, I don't have anything. The standards are not the problem. Is what you do with it, with the standards.
it's a perspective, right? I mean, well, I mean,
Yes.
you're just describing the whole, you know, I mean, America is cool because it was born with adventure, you know, and but it's not cool because it's settled into
It's settled into
acceptable behavior or something, you
yeah,
know. Where Europe,
when you have a country that has to pride itself every day in saying we are the greatest and we're the greatest democracy in the world. No, you are the biggest democracy, greatest democracy. I don't think so. What's been going on for 5-6 years is a result of centuries of delusion. And that doesn't mean that we don't have it, but you know, now we're talking about America because somebody could say, yeah, but what about Europe? Yeah, but okay.
yeah,
But there's only so much we can talk about. We talk about jazz, so we talk about America.
yeah,
And I love America. I mean, America gave me my backbone to become who I am.
yeah,
But the 6 years of nightmare that we lived on a global scale, you know,
yeah,
comes from centuries of delusion.
yeah,
And when I see the vocal jazz part, I mean, when I see the vocal jazz, I mean, stylistically, I could not ever do in America what I can do here. And now I start to come over there, and people say, "Oh, okay," but it's like I cannot understand that they keep vocal jazz and not instrumental jazz.
yeah,
But vocal jazz, they keep it in 58, 59, 61, 62 at best. And that is what I think is kind of mind-boggling, you know? It's like, really? Can we just open? I mean, I remember when Cassandra Wilson, okay, she didn't sell a lot when she was doing in the M bass and all that, but when she made her first record on Blue Note with Craig Street, it's a producer I worked with also later on.
uh-huh.
When she did Blue Light Till Dawn, you remember that first record?
Say that again. What did you say? Say that again.
Cassandra Wilson, Blue Light Till Dawn on Blue
Oh
Note.
yeah, yeah.
When that came out,
I
it's like
love it.
really. I mean, that was like, damn.
I know that was very different, and
I mean, how can something
Beautiful.
so adventurous be so commercial?
yeah,
But this is about the only thing that we had in the last 30 years where vocal jazz over there in America could have this kind of adventurous thing to it. I don't say that it's not happening, but it's not commercialized. It's
yeah.
the breach between what's happening and what is promoted is the breach is big.
Yeah, I think as Esperanza Spalding, but she's also a bass player.
Yeah.
Right. But her singing, because maybe what you say, because her bass playing has opened up the door for her to be whatever she wants.
Yeah.
I mean, she plays at the White House.
Yes.
Plays and sings at the White House, so that's pretty accepted. But
but it's basically also pretty mainstream. I mean, she's a bass player who sings, so I'm talking about there's some stuff.
No, she does very unusual stuff.
No, yeah, but for us Europeans, that's not unusual. No, you really have to understand that. That's not unusual for over here. I mean,
What do you mean? What is not unusual?
Stylistically, that's unusual for America. That's not unusual for over here. Over here, we can. I think it's a completely different market. For America, it's very unusual when you play a 7. When a singer does it in America, it's like, wow, that's unusual for singing because they're always singing 4, and maybe they sing take 5 and they sing 5, but I've been singing in those metrics from 5 to 7 to 15 for decades, and you can do pretty big stages with that over here. In America, it's like, wow, what's happening? She sings in 7, So it's really stylistically, there's an enormous difference. I feel that in Europe you can stylistically evolve a lot. I mean, some of the greatest musicians in the world are American. But it's true that when they come over here in Europe, they are stylistically liberated because they don't have to live up to an idea of what is expected of a jazz musician. You understand? I mean, Gene Lee, Duran Blake, they worked over here much more than over there because it was too weird, And I see today in 2021, I see some of the greatest singers in America, but they're still in this shoe. That's okay, but it's like as if it needs to stay in that realm there where instrumentalists stylistically have created an audience that's more adventurous than the audience for vocalists.
Yeah. Now, specifically, since we're talking about this, what would be what you might do that is different than what we're talking about, just singing in 7, for instance,
For example, if you want to listen to a tune of mine,
yeah,
and it's by accident, it's in 7.
Oh no, forget it. We can't live with that. No. Okay.
It's 7. It's who that? So you can go on my channel and you put the that's the first one. The first one.
This one or this one, right?
Yeah, the black and white.
Okay. Whoops.
There's not one language old enough to speak about the fears that have made us weak. We've come to know that she's not her name. Lives by her own rules, for she will not be tamed. She's never giving you the cold shoulder, long as you don't blame the beholder. Evil's dressed up and needs decorum. Goodness needs nothing, clear of a forum. Seas, rivers have frozen over before, and outside he's born free to the very core, reaching out for more, reaching out for more. Want a steady diet of rejection, a lifetime apart from introspection. When good people vote for bad leaders, let's redefine good for us to dig deeper. Yeah. She's always just one heartbeat away from the downtrodden, from those who stray. She's her own clincher, setting the tone. She knows what's at stake, sitting on your throne. Sails, willing pieces of clay, set the tone. Now Azadi will walk you straight to her zone, reaching out for more.
It's great. Great video, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Just a low budget. Just
Well,
sitting on the chair.
Great, though. I mean, it really works. So, okay, so the music, which is great, music, it's not just the singer, first of all, it's the song itself, that's, and I don't know, I don't know if I would say unusual. I just think the combination of what it is exciting. It's, there's a different, it's not 4/4, and there's dynamics, and which I just, I always stress on my students, dynamics. And, and you're a great singer, you have a great instrument, and you have a great point of view, which really is really in the end what the artist is about. And I'm not sure of all the lyrics because I didn't get all the lyrics. However, with the lyrics I did get and the combination of what I just mentioned, it was kind of, I felt like there was this person who was observing what was going on around them, and somehow that's where I missed kind of some of the lyrics, but I felt like it was building to, come on, she wants more, or you need more, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
which exciting.
Azadi is means liberty in Persian, in
Oh.
Urdu. So, and I dedicated this to the niece of James Baldwin, who's my age now, almost. We kind of grew up together for the decade. So I took that word Azadi, which is liberty, Urdu for liberty, and it could be like a boy's name, could be like a woman's name, and so and yeah, that's what I did, but there's also the filtering. I talk a lot about that in math classes. Wherever you come from, some of the favorite music I listen to is gospel music. I mean, because it's for me, it's the healthiest technique. You cannot scream for 6 hours and not lose your voice. What we get is energy and not power. And a lot of people think it's power. No, it's energy with the frequencies in the voice right, placed right. So you can sing for 6 hours. So basically, even in the end, when I'm doing the backing vocal, I'm doing the backing vocals myself, but it's like my idea of trying to communicate what I got from the gospel without imitating the gospel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
America is such a birthplace of so much. I mean, what would we be without America in jazz music? You know what? It's there's so much to, but like Miles said, the best tribute you can pay to tradition is to perpetuate it. And I feel that sometimes the business tends to keep jazz in a place where it has died decades ago, and with the sole purpose of trying to make a buck more or something, you know what I mean? And especially vocal jazz, because we think that with vocal jazz we can make the money that we cannot make with instrumental jazz. So it keeps the singer in a very schizophrenic place. Like what is expected of me? What should I do? Who am I? What is my voice? What am I allowed to do? And I think the backbone that I got from Kenny Clarke and James Baldwin, amongst others, is just to go against the grain, because that is where you will be seen or you will be heard. Your message, and not always be preoccupied about the success of what you do, and that is like a little bit, that part of the American dream has a little bit gone all around the world. Everybody lives up to what can I do to be successful, but try to first focus on expressing yourself. And I think we have a lot of great Barry Harris, who just died last week, was one of those great teachers who really kept it in a healthy place. You have a lot of those people, but I just feel that the vocal jazz in the business has taken this place where it doesn't know really who to please anymore. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is not singing Misty, but how will I sing Misty in 2021? The standards are not the problem, but what are you going to do with it? There's so much you can do with the standard.
I'm going to send you a few of my CDs just for your amusement.
Yes, please.
Because there were, I personally, my, I have a number of CDs like you, but I've gone with very, very different people, and I have some very beautiful straight versions of standards, with a standard player, and then I have a few that are quite outside, because that's just something that I like too. And those, as you said, Misty. So I was on the road for years with this pianist, Philip Strange, in Japan mostly. We went over to Europe a little too. But so we were on the road for a month in Japan, and then we recorded because, of course, you know, we came up with some cool arrangements being on the road for a month. And there was this version of Misty, you know, half the people who listened and liked it and half didn't.
Yeah. But
You
that's
know,
a
it was
good
like-
sign. That's a good sign. I think that's a healthy sign. Because, you know, it can be exhausting to be polemic, but that is your role too. You know, to wake up some people. You know, it's like. An artist's role is to disturb the peace a little bit, you know, sometimes, once in a while. And I think
That is so true.
And in jazz vocal, we should claim that role again.
I agree with you, actually. I really do agree strongly. And I've always thought that, you know, on another planet, we would have been utilized differently. We would have had a position of honor everywhere because we would soak in we would empathetically, right? Empathically, we would soak in what was going on with the world. And then the government
translate it.
Yes, and the government could go ahead and help.
Oh,
you know,
Lord.
but of course that's on another planet, you know.
That's another far away. That's in a different galaxy. That's like it's not even this galaxy, you know.
You have some
No,
people
but-
here who are admiring you, by the way, and just really a nice, beautiful comments. But Norma Jean says you're very cool and full of gusto for life through music, which is really
Oh, thank you so much.
yeah. Yeah. But
But I have to say that without tradition,
yeah,
really, I'll insist on that. I know tradition inside out. I can go on stage with. I mean, I grew up in tradition with Harry Sweet Edison. I played with him, and you know, I
Yeah.
recorded with Rhoda Scott. You know, the organ play. And so,
Yeah.
so if without that, I could not do what I do today.
yeah,
I mean, but when I audition musicians, I don't want to hear tradition in their playing, but they better know it because otherwise they can't do it.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, in the song that you just heard, you're not really face to face with tradition, but all these musicians they know how to play standards. I mean, at night sometimes I wake up, I go sit at my piano and I still open the real book randomly and I just play any standard. I mean, I think it's a back and forth thing all the time. I mean, it's the shoulders we stand on. We should never forget that all the shoulders we stand on. And these are, I mean, all these great jazz musicians, American jazz musicians, also in Europe. I mean, but to honor them, we should not try to copy them and repeat what they did. It's not always a very easy thing to do, but once you're in it, you cannot do otherwise anymore. You know, you have to.
That reminds me a little of one time when I I saw Lee Ritenour,
Yeah.
you know, quite a ways into his career, and when I heard people play like Lee Ritenour, I really grew to dislike it. You know, that's
It's annoying. It can be irritating.
However, when you hear Lee play, it's great because he's the original.
He's original, and he knows where he comes from, and so when you know where you come from, you have an idea of where you can go. I don't even want to say you know where you're going, because
You don't know where you're going. Yes.
No, I think, but you at least you have an idea of where you don't want to go. You know, and then you know. But it's a journey. I mean, for me especially, it's been a journey being a European jazz singer. That concept really didn't exist before.
Yeah.
So for it's still a very lonely place because I don't have a family. I mean, female singers were there since the 1930s in Europe also. So I have some female
Yeah.
singers that Norma Winston is a very good friend of mine. We sing
Yeah.
together. You have Maria Pia de Vito, Maria Joao, and all that.
Uh-huh.
And Faye, of course, who's like my little sister.
Yeah.
But it's we don't. I'm not really part of a family yet. My students are. They start to believe because of all the records I made, like 30 or 35 records that and I tour. So for them, it's like, oh, so they can start believing that they can do it too, and that they don't have to operate in the shadow of what is dictated of what a jazz thing should be.
Yeah.
So and at the same time, I love it when I sing with Gregory Porter. It's wonderful. We have a great time when we meet and we sing together. It's so one doesn't keep the other thing from existing, and basically the middle ground is basically the same. That is where you find yourself.
Yeah. I was sitting with somebody last night because I went to see some great music. You might not know of them because they're LA people, but Larry Kuntz on guitar and Vardan
Yeah, Larry-
Sepian.
Oh, I was going to call Vardan because Vardan is one of the best friends of my piano player. So Vardan and Tatiana Para, the singer that he works with, from Brazil, she wanted to come and study with me in Brussels.
Oh boy, she's amazing.
Yes, and he comes to give master classes at the conservatory where I teach.
Oh.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
that's cool. Well, I saw them, and do you know the Ferber brothers? The drummer and the trombone player, Alan and Mark? They're bi-coastal, and they're just, forget about it. And Dave Robert on bass. But anyway, we went to this small club, again, like 15 people maybe. But now that's understandable. But anyway, the feeling was joyous. That's actually when I was saying that I saw one guy who doesn't smile all the time. It was Vardan.
Oh,
he was smiling while the music was going. He was so happy. Yeah. So he was really happy. But anyway, I will. Because I'm actually going to talk to him soon because I want him to play at this really nice home venue, which he's never played at, but it's got a beautiful piano. And anyway, I'll tell him. But I was. Oh yeah. Oh, he's incredible. He's got that forward motion, just yeah. And Larry Kuntz is,
Larry Kuntz also, yeah.
He's just incredible. Yeah.
I used to.
But
I used to know someone from LA. I used to play also with Teddy Edwards. You remember him?
Oh, yes, I do. When I was first here, when I was 21, I worked as a waitress at Dante's, the jazz club. And Teddy Edwards was like one of the first guys that I saw there. And I was, it's like, wow, Teddy Edwards.
Yeah, I played with him also when I was a drummer when I was 15, 16. And it was wonderful. Wow. And he was in LA, of course. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say was that I was talking with a friend of mine at the club last night about well, she was actually asking Larry what open meant, and he broke it down to her because she's more of a newer singer, but although she's very, very good. So talking about just the perspective, and Larry's, he's a great teacher as well. And he's a very kind communicator. So he was talking about openness or, playing open. And it was just great hearing him describe it, probably more of a perspective, than there was some actual science to it, but also a perspective, and that is probably to me, it's probably one of the most important things that you can have, or you can, give somebody or teach somebody, is that perspective, right? Because, and let's talk about that a little bit, because you have a very strong perspective. Oh, hi, Dina DeRose.
Oh, Dina the Rose. Oh,
Ah.
say hello to Dina the Rose. She's wonderful. Love her.
Yeah, she's
I
a
love her
wonderful
piano
human.
playing and I love her singing.
Yeah, and her human beingness.
Wonderful. I never met her, but it's just,
Well, she's over there. You should meet her.
yeah. But I'm substituting for her because she
Oh.
teaches Siena jazz, and I'm replacing her for the moment.
Oh. Oh, so crossing paths. That's, man, that's terrible. Anyway, I was going to ask you about your perspective. So if you could put into words your perspective on when you're being an artist, when you're performing, what can you put it into words?
When I'm on stage,
Okay, yes.
I don't know. I basically I come over prepared so that when I'm on stage, I'm completely free. I don't have to think. I don't think about technique or nothing. I mean, vocal cords are muscles. It's like, so when you go to the gym, you work your muscle. You don't go to the gym, you don't work your muscles. Same thing. So when people say that, oh, something is too technical or not, I don't know. I never think about. I mean, I overwork. I mean, I come over prepared, and over prepared doesn't mean working for a purpose. I work to, when I have this note, is how can I get that note? And it's for me first. It cannot be for anybody else if it's not for me first.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the pleasing factor in jazz vocal today is too high. It's like as if stop trying to please all the time. To try to see how you can miss a note and then recuperate that feeling with what the next note is going to be, And I see so many young singers trying to please so much the younger generation that why don't you go and do pop music? But they did a very good thing to me because I'm rediscovering Cecil Taylor again, thanks to them. Because I want to go straight to Cecil Taylor, who can give you a hell of a perspective. When I see a Cecil Taylor concert or a Betty Carter concert or Miles Davis concert or Michael Jackson concert or Prince concert, the construction of the show is almost the same. You see what I mean? Like the energy so the style is not important anymore.
Right.
Because nobody's really trying to please once they're up there.
Yeah.
You really try to tell a story.
Yeah.
And try to find the words. I love it when you don't, when we're talking, I don't know if I find the next word, but that is part of what the performance should be, and not this kind of thing that is over prepared. When I said that I come over prepared, is that I work as much
You're
as
ready.
I can.
Yeah.
So that when I'm on stage, I'm not reading my lyrics because I write a lot of lyrics so that I know them and in a way they come to me. You know?
Yeah.
They come to me, but the perspective is, I think everything is rhythm. And I think since we talked about Dina the Rose, it's like when a piano player can sometimes she's part of the singers who plays piano, but if people don't know them and they listen to it, say, who's the piano player? Oh no, but that's the singer playing piano. So when you can rhythmically be free over the pulse, and I think that is the biggest work that singers should do is how can I be rhythmically free on my own tempo and not lean on the band.
Yeah.
A lot of singers lean on the band.
Yeah.
And I think a singer should be like, a singer should be his or her own rhythm section.
Yeah.
And so that musicians can be free in her or his band.
Yeah.
Sometimes I joke about it, but when you ask a musician, what are you doing tonight? So, I'm playing with a singer. You know what I mean? so I would never. I really don't want musicians to talk about me like that.
I don't think they will. I don't think you have anything to worry about.
Who you playing with tonight? I'm playing with David. No. If they drop their head, it's maybe because I can be a pain in the ass. Yeah. Right. But not because I don't know where I am. So,
that's funny.
I think like musicians, singers should be independent melodically, harmonically, rhythmically, and pulse-wise.
Yeah.
And already the fact that a lot of singers mistake the rhythm for the pulse.
Yeah.
When you have tempo that you can do, then
Yeah.
you don't have to do dip do ba do ba bo dip, but you can also ba ba de la la de ba do la de la
Yeah.
and then you go back to the pulse dip le do ba
Yeah.
ba do dip, but that you can rhythmically also stray from the tempo, but still not lean on the band for the tempo, but that you have your own sense of tempo from which you can stray in the all in the same body and the same mind. So in that perspective on stage, I can be extremely free.
Yeah.
My musicians know that they don't have to save me,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't be able to accept it for myself that I need musicians to save me on stage, you know.
Yeah.
And all that, I learned all that from tradition. I think I cannot overstate the importance of tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And that's of course the American jazz gave me, but also the European music gave me that, you know. But the American tradition, I think it's sometimes young students don't realize how important that is, to really learn that and digest it. And
I agree with you. I think they have no clue, actually.
no,
It's I mean, not everybody, you know, of course, every
No.
student is different, but yeah, sometimes it's so amazing that you meet a student who has an attraction for the music, you know, and even can appreciate a singer such as you or I, but has no clue of the basics. It's really interesting.
it's yeah, of course. I mean, I'm like, yesterday I had a student improvise on a Cecil Taylor improvisation. It's like as if we had a new song. I mean, I put it on my laptop, no, my iPad that I have here for you, which we didn't have when we were young. So that is the good thing of technology. And I had him improvise with Cecil Taylor, and it's a whole world open for him.
Wow.
It was a whole world. It's like, what is happening? Because then you discover his melodic universe. It's not just free jazz. It's not just doing just random stuff. It's like on the record the latest record I released a couple of weeks ago, I did 15 duos. There's also one with Ram Blake.
Oh.
So when I was in Boston to record that with him, I was very small, you know, because because you never know with what chord he's going to start. And he said, I don't want you to, even for the recording, no music and no lyrics on a stand. So I had to come. So my ears were doing all the work. So you know, and so.
Can we hear that?
It's on the. Yes. So it's called Vanguard. It's on a record of mine. It's called Be My Guest.
Okay.
And I don't even know because I really sing the melody, and sometimes you have to really know the song for him to understand where the chords are coming from, you know. And it's his song. He recorded with Jim Lee in the 60s. So this is, he wanted me to sing that song when I asked him to do a duo.
Okay, I'm hoping that they don't take me down for this one.
Waking from a dream, I still seem to feel the shadows I thought were real, and I most recall where I wandered in dreaming. Then the shadows slowly fade and disappear. Waking with the dawn, they all disappear. The shadows of thought are gone, and I hear all around every sound. Softly it calls me as the shadows slowly fade and disappear. Thoughts cannot be bound by reason. Yesterday's dreams are vanguards of a fear. Time is not confined to season. Future conversation fading hearing. Soon the night is here, they all reappear. The shadows of thought are real. The familiar and strange disarrayed, yielding forever to the shadows of the dreams that fade away. As the shadows slowly fade and disappear. Is here, they all reappear. The shadows of thought are real. the familiar and strange disarrayed, yielding forever. To the shadows of the dreams that fade away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like out there, you know.
Wow. Very,
So
yeah, that's very, it's very cool, very interesting. Yeah, it's, well, it just makes me think, it makes me think of, well, you know, to me, you know, I know when I like something because it makes me think of what I can do. What
yeah,
I
yeah.
do, you know,
Okay.
what I put together, what I, you know, it makes me, you know, inspired basically to do something.
Okay. But you know, on that album with 15 Doors, it goes. Then there's another song with the guitar player where I sing a Randy Newman song. I think it's going to rain today, which is
Yeah.
very mainstream.
Yeah.
So, but it's like we are made of so much more than we think.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we should. I mean, this is really a very how do you say that? This song with Ram Blake is also a statement. You know, it's not about trying to please all the time, but what can I be in that moment with him? You know. And,
Yeah.
And I think that the vocal jazz as it's been portrayed in this past 10-15 years is all about pleasing all the time. And at a certain moment you don't know who you're pleasing anymore, you know. It's like you can do a very beautiful mainstream song, but you should also be able within that context to freestyle completely, even if the audience doesn't realize you're freestyling. And here apparently with Ram Blake, we are. I mean, we're not freestyling that much. I mean, the term free jazz is only a reference to what we are used to listening to. You know,
Yeah.
When people are not used to listening to. I mean, when everyday people you talk about Miles Davis, oh, I don't like free jazz, but free jazz is just what you are used to listen to. Miles Davis is far from being free jazz. You know.
Yeah, well, it brings to mind Jay Clayton came here for her 80th birthday tour, and she sang, and you know, she's a queen of free jazz, and but she also sings a beautiful standard, and
She can sing a
it was
straight
a
song.
wonderful. Yeah, it was a wonderful concert. I was going to just play a little bit of I Think It's Going to Rain Today. Just, you know, just to, like you said, get the difference, you know.
Yeah, because it's.
And it's such a beautiful song.
Yes.
And I want to hear you sing like this.
Broken windows and empty hallways, a pale dead moon in a sky streaked with gray. Human kindness is overflowing, and I think it's going to rain today. Scarecrows dressed in the latest styles, the frozen smiles to chase love away. today.
And David, who is the guitarist? Oh, Peter Hertmans?
Yes, Belgian guitar player.
Okay.
Tin can at my feet. I think I'll kick it down the street. That's the way. That's the way to treat a friend. Right before me, the signs implore me. Help the needy and show them the way. Human kindness is overflowing, and I think it's going to rain today. And I think it's going to rain today.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. And he's a really great player too.
Oh, he's a
Really
wonderful.
nice. I love guitar. Guitar. I really
Yes.
do love guitar. It's just there's something really satisfying with the sound waves or something, you know, singing with
And
a
also how we
guitar.
can blend with the pitch of the voice, because it can we are pitch wise we can be a little freer. We can bend the note and the guitar can follow us, you know.
Yeah, there's a really good quality of vibrations in
Yeah.
the, there's a guy, an old friend of mine in Norway who I want to go see and play with. Wayne Brassel is his name. He's a really great guitar player.
Okay.
And he and I were in Austria together for a while. And but he also lived here too. But he's a very good guitar player. If you ever go to Norway and you need a really good guitar player, he's a good guy.
Right. Good.
Um, so so I mean, it's, I can't really like take pieces of parts of your life out, because really it seems like this long tapestry, you know, hearing you speak about, you know, what you've been doing and how you've been involved with people. And I can't ask you really what's the best, what's one of the best performing moments you've had, because there's probably a lot of them. I'm just
Well,
hearing.
but I had really a lot. I mean, I worked as far back with people like that, with the Count Basie Orchestra or Michel and Dego Cello or Slide Dunbar, Robbie Shakespeare, or Harry Sweet Citizen. Clark Terry was with Johnny Griffin. All the, I mean, it was, but but really, the band that I have. I mean, I come at an age where I really understand Betty Carter, Art Blakey, and Miles Davis. I'm 56. I'm going to be 57. So forcibly, I work with people who are younger than me. So
Yeah.
it's like, so what's nice with young people is that, especially today, because the business is very difficult today. So you have to be very good and nice. My musicians, they look like $1 million. They sound like $2 million. They are on time. They are positive. They know the music by heart, and they give me a kick in the butt. I mean, the band that I have is so. I mean, we've been touring this autumn. I mean, it's one of the best experiences in my life, rhythmically and spiritually. I mean, it's like we come off stage with such a high, but it's also very healthy. It's not like a high where you need to drink and then go crazy. I mean, That's that's the older generation. The young generation is very much more down to earth. So because they know that we have to do it again in a different city tomorrow and be in good shape, because otherwise they could be replaced. You know what I mean? But that band who's also playing they're also a musician on the song that you played, Azadi. You know.
Yes.
But for example, that song on stage
Oh,
and I sang it also a couple of days ago. They asked me to sing in at the Jazz Conservatory of Amsterdam.
uh-huh.
4 days ago. With sometimes the students have to make arrangements on the songs of the guests. So I was the guest. So they also made arrangements for big band for Azadi. So that was like a Concord.
Wow.
It was like a Concord
Wow.
taking off. You know, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
and then I
That
asked the
must have
students,
been amazing.
can I have your arrangement? Can I use it when I go and sing with the big bands? I said, okay, I can have it. I said, thank you.
Wow.
But it's amazing
That's exciting.
yes, and the young musicians are, oh my God, it's like it's like a rebirth. It's from a certain age
Yeah.
on to work with young musicians, because they strengthen the vision that you carried by yourself for decades, you know, and you know, when the younger generation connects with that, it takes the music to a whole other level, you know. That is what I'm living for. With them, I'm really, it's really a very special experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Fantastic. Yeah, that's really great.
And I also
Have you been teaching for a long time too?
yes, I've
Have
been
you taught
teaching
for a very long time?
I've been teaching in Brussels at the conservatory. I've been teaching there for 25 years. I teach Mondays and Tuesdays, and I really keep it because it's very strange, because my range expanded over the years. And that's because of teaching also, because I learned so much from them. It's like
You have to explain what you know, right?
Yes, and then you have to deal with them when they do it, and it's like, wow. And then, you know, and I like to imitate them too. Yesterday I was there for the last lesson of the year, and we did like a class. I like to do class parties, you know, and we're not supposed to do it. We said bring wine and beer, and just bring it, you know, and then I'm not allowed to do it, so that's what I love. So I'm not allowed to do it, so please bring it. So and then they and they all have to sing, you know, they all have to sing a song. So that is really is really wonderful. I've been teaching there, and I teach in Siena, and I'm a guest professor in Amsterdam. Then way back in New York, when I was living in New York, Mark Crawford was one of Miles Davis's best friends, and he's the one who introduced Miles Davis to James Baldwin in the 60s. So I got to know him when James Baldwin died, and they asked me to come and speak about James Baldwin. So he asked me to give every Wednesday jazz appreciation classes at Visiones. Visiones was near the Blue Note, at the corner of Blue Note in New York. It was called Visiones, and that's where Maria Schneider started out with her big band, in that place back in the end of the 80s, 90s. And so it was called Visiones. So I don't know it's a different name today. So I did that, but I like teaching very much because it keeps me out of my comfort zone. You can also teach in a comfort zone, but I'm not really interested in that. I tell my students that if you behave like a student, I'm going to behave like a teacher, and we're all going to have a boring time. So please surprise me so that I can surprise you back. You know, it's like I always say that my authority is justified by your degree of curiosity. The more curious you are, I mean, you can ask me anything, and if it's too close for comfort, I tell you don't go there, you know. But you can ask me anything, and it's like so I love it. And also I had a very strange thing with my voice, because maybe because of the vaccine, because I wanted to come and visit my family in the States, I need a vaccine. Otherwise, I maybe would not have taken a vaccine. So I had like this bronchitis end of August, which is strange. I never had bronchitis end of August in the summer, you know.
Yeah.
And what happens when I have a cold or something, I have three or four notes more in my falsetto upper register and three or more notes low. And normally when I get better, I'm back in my normal range.
Yeah.
A little disappointed, but I'm back in normal range. But this time in September, when I got better, I never got back to my normal range. It stayed. I have like, to this day. So every day I wake up, is it still going to be there? So, and then it's damn, it's still. So now I start to use it on stage, and some of my musicians go like, "What's?" So my range widened with a half octave more.
Yeah, that's cool.
So very exciting. It's very strange. I don't know how to explain it. So maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know.
Oh God.
But for the moment, since September, I'm having a ball, like going into registers where I never went before. So it gives like a different way of singing, you know.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Are you planning on doing some gigs in New York?
No, sometimes I go to Vancouver, I go to Seattle, Portland. I went there. I did New York a long time ago, Knitting Factory.
Mm.
I did that. They asked me to do the Poisson Rouge, you know, in comment on dit en français, Poisson Rouge, le Poisson Rouge.
Poisson Rouge.
The red fish. But you know, it's like it's still very. I did Philadelphia. I was invited with the Philadelphia Chamber Orchestra, with the choir and the children's choir. So, yeah. But it's very difficult because to come and sing in the States, you have to either do it illegally, but in the States you need a work visa, and that's like $7,000 or $8,000. So when I sang with the Chamber Orchestra of Philadelphia, they paid it for me besides my fee.
Yeah.
But it's very financially, it's very difficult to come and do jazz over there and have someone or yourself pay like $7,000 or $8,000 for visa. It's ridiculous.
I know. I know there's, you know, Australia's like that, way expensive. And I mean, Japan, if you're going through certain venues, you have to do that. I mean, if you're just going over there and you're singing, you know, it's okay, but that's not the bigger venues. The bigger venues, that's what they're gonna want.
And Americans don't have to do that over here in Europe, you know, which I think is good. But it's still very difficult for Europeans to go and sing in America. I mean, I remember when I sing there, it's like sometimes people come up to me, it's like, I mean, I don't want to make fun, but this is really what's, you know, when people come, it's amazing you don't sing standards and it's jazz. How do you do that? You know, I mean, the vocal jazz is still very looked upon as something that when you sing your own song, it's like, man, you must be crazy or you must be weird. You see what I mean? And I'm not talking about the poppy jazz. It's like I can be a jazz singer and do my own songs and be a jazz singer. I don't need loop stations or synthesize or pop it up for me to be modern. I mean, when you listen to Azadi is completely acoustic. I don't need rhythm machines and loop stations to be modern. I can be modern by being rhythmically with my phrasing being of today, you know.
Yeah.
So I think there's a long way to go still for jazz vocal, because that we keep the young people out of what we think what the business enforces upon them, what is expected of them to be as a jazz singer, that they live up to an idea of what jazz singing is, and not of and that we don't educate them to become what they can distill. When distill, you say that? Did you say it in English?
Distilled.
Yeah, distill from the knowledge that they have from jazz. But I think the talent is amazing. I mean, when you see these young singers in the Berkeley College of, I mean, Manhattan School of Music, it's insane.
Yeah.
The level is, I mean, it's ridiculous. It leaves me with that voice when I see these young people. But they have a tendency of doing. I mean, they have a tendency of doing that in school. Once they get into the business, they become extremely mainstream because that is what the business forces them to do.
Yeah.
And I think there is still a long way to go. I mean, for me, it's almost a dream to do pretty big halls here in Europe, to do big jazz festivals and do it with my music and my lyrics, which is very, as a singer. I mean, as an instrumentalist, it's more common.
Yeah.
But in jazz, we still reduced to having to sing the way that they expect a jazz singer to sing. And I'm very blessed to, but it's also because I'm very stubborn.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna do my stuff. So I think it's been like 40 years now. So it's also, if you really decide upon the music that you want to do and you stay in that lane, then somehow you somehow get the victory from that. You know, if you start to stray and try to please and do what people expect of you, you will never please anyone because
it's not real.
It's not real. And whatever you do, standards, mainstream, or whatever. I mean, as long as it's in line with what you want to do.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against mainstream, but I don't like singers trying to sound like Nancy Wilson. Then I go to put on a Nancy Wilson record on. I don't, you know. Yeah. But the business also takes advantage of the young audience who doesn't know Nancy Wilson or who doesn't know Dinah Washington or who doesn't know. And but
by the way,
but it's almost over. It's amazing how fast
I know, isn't it amazing? 2 hours. Dina just wanted to say, just beautiful to hear you and see you, David. I hope we do meet in person one of these days.
I hope so too. I want to come to LA. I have friends in LA, so I want to come back to LA because.
Okay, now that's what I was going to say. If you come to LA, then I can actually make a concert for you.
Oh Lord!
So keep that in mind.
I'm nervous already.
You know, keep it in mind. You can play the same place that Sheila Jordan played. You know, it's a home venue, which is really beautiful. It has a beautiful German 9-foot piano and room for 60 people and a bar.
I love that. I did some of those venues in Seattle and Portland. Love it. It's wonderful. And people really listen.
Yeah. Did you work for Nick Anderson?
Yes.
He always makes great environments happen. It's really nice.
It's wonderful. And then people cook afterwards.
Yeah.
They bring it, but you got to wait until the concert's over.
Yeah.
Because the food is
we don't do that here. We don't cook, but we do bring food, but we don't cook. I mean, we can cook and bring that food, but we don't cook.
We cook and then bring it.
Yeah.
and nobody knows who actually cooked, you know.
Exactly. Well, David, thank you so much for taking time and being with us.
So much. I mean, it's a breath of fresh air to be able to do that and speak and converse.
Yeah, it's very enjoyable talking to you. I'm sure we could do this again for another 2 hours. And I can't wait. I'm going to go listen a lot more. I mean, I've listened, but now I'm going to go on YouTube and get some tangible things.
Do you have Spotify?
Yes.
Okay, so I think almost no. I think 70% of my records are on Spotify also, but so someone up to. But on YouTube, what I did with my last record, I have 15 duos, and I also have 15 videos made, like by painters, sculptors. So it's like an artistic project, you know. So that everybody, I gave a song to artists. I said, I don't have any money, but please do whatever you want with it. Yeah. And I found 15 people who actually made videos and did it, you know.
Fantastic.
That's what was wonderful.
It's fantastic. Well, who wouldn't want to collaborate with you? You know, I mean, it's an honor to collaborate with you, and it's quite an effect. You know, those songs that we saw, beautiful effects. You know, were created.
Oh, thank you. And what we do is like now the record was released in November, so we'll release a new video every 3 weeks. You know, so
yeah.
So we got something new going.
Yeah. Now, I'm sending you a few things of mine. I hope you don't.
Oh, please.
I hope you don't go, oh, geez. She sent me so much. Come on. I'm trying to keep it down, but just things that I think you might like to see. But anyway, again, thank you so much, and have a beautiful holiday season.
You too. I wish you all the best for 2022. I'm very happy I finally met you, because I have a lot of singers who talk to me about you over here. So
yeah,
you definitely have to do this show.
And I'm definitely gonna. When I talk to, actually, the place that I mentioned to you that I would give a concert. I also told Vardan, because he hasn't even been there, which is unbelievable, because it's you know, it's here, and so I'm going to arrange to have him do a concert there as well.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Cathy, give you a big kiss from here in Paris.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. I'm going to come over there soon.
Please do.
Okay.
Stay well.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Wow, David Linx. Whew, man, that was pretty intense and wonderful. He's amazing. I feel so honored to have him on. Thursday through Sunday, I'll be having the archives still, so you can still watch. Thursday, Bob Moses, who was my hero from when I was in college. He created music that was a lot like Weather Report. He's a drummer. And then Friday, Bill Cunliffe, the wonderful pianist, arranger, composer, teacher. Saturday, a singer who David mentioned, who was a dear friend of his from the UK, Norma Winston. And she's an amazing singer of this kind of tribe of singers that we were talking about today. And then Sunday, a great saxophone player, Greg Abate. So those are all archived. Then next week, the live people, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm going to have Paul Jost, the great singer, who I actually texted and I said, oh, you really should be checking this day out with David Linx. Paul Jost is an amazing singer, musician, drummer. And I had him on in the beginning, but I wanted to do it again because it was so long ago. Tuesday, one of the most famous drummers in the studio scene, J.R. Robinson, who I actually went to college with and had a band with way back then. But he's worked with Quincy Jones for years. He worked with Chaka Khan for years. And then Wednesday, a wonderful trumpet player, Nathan Breedlove, who I got introduced to by Gail Boyd's 2:00 session every day on Facebook called Anyway, look her up. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue, but I can't get it out. Anyway, Gail Boyd. It keeps coming in and then going out. So, you guys, if I don't see you again, have a great Christmas. But like I said, join me anytime around noon. Oh, thank you, Joyce. Alternative venues for jazz. It was right there all the time. Thank you, Heather Camille. Best wishes to you. Thanks, Norma Jean. Okay, and Dina DeRose. Best wishes to you too. and everybody out there. Have a great day. Thanks again to my guest